Hello everyone and welcome back to the Steam Chart Gaming News. Today is the 21st of November. I'm Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we got some pretty interesting pieces of news. I actually got 4 pieces of news, so let's just make a quick overview of them. So first we're going to talk about Valve making some tweaks to the Steam review system, hopefully to get the more actual helpful reviews into the foreground, and not just those ones that are really funny, though they sometimes are awesomely funny, I will admit that. Then we're going to talk about a 7-year-old Magic player who is actually kicking butt. Then a little bit more about the loot box situation and the fact that they are being under investigation in more countries than previously. And lastly, unsurprisingly, we're going to talk about EA, this time about how they've probably fired the creator of Zombies vs. Plants because, well, he didn't want microtransactions in his game. But let's start with Valve. And Valve, no, everybody knows that on Steam you have this little system that allows you to review games. I occasionally use it myself on my main channel, my personal channel, let's call it, and post video reviews to YouTube. And as far as I know, sometimes they get considered useful, sometimes they don't. And the ones that are considered the most useful by people just clicking, yes, I found this review useful, those get pushed to the foreground, to the top. And the problem is, it's very easy to game that system. There are a lot of people who just like to do trolly shit there, who will like post stupid things. I don't know, like they have 2,000 hours into the game and they will post like, I just tried this and it's okay. Something like that. I'm not really good with making trolly jokes, I will admit that. But these do get often pushed to the top, and they aren't really that useful to the people who are actually thinking, oh, should I buy this game or should I not buy this game? On top of that, there are a lot of people who just have a particular view of the game, and it's very easy for them to push the type of review that promotes that particular view of the game to the top, even though it may not be completely truthful. So let's say if EA just hired 1,000 people and sent them to upvote or to say that they found a review of Battlefront 2 useful, that would say, okay, the game is awesome, the microtransaction system is perfectly fair, well, that would be the top review on Steam. Even though, as we quite well know, it would just be a complete lie and full-on bullshit. So there isn't really that much known about what exactly the changes to the system will be, but hopefully it will actually provide a feasible benefit and make the reviews on Steam more useful, because at the moment, well, not all of them are. Okay, now let's move on to a little bit of news concerning Magic the Gathering. I know this isn't completely video gaming news, but, well, it is gaming. And we have a 7-year-old girl who can't even shuffle the cards because her hands are too small, beating the Grand Prix tournament in Portland this weekend and just being awesome there. So she finished 5-4 in the tournament, and as I said again, she's just 7 years old. She actually needs her father to be there with her so he can draw her the cards and shuffle them for her, because, well, as I said, her hands and just her physique is currently too small, though it has been said she is actually practicing to get better at that so she can do that herself, and she doesn't need her father there. Otherwise, all the plays are actually being done completely by her, no help from anybody else. She's keeping track of everything that's happening, all the triggers, all the draws all the plays that have been made by her opponents. And yeah, she probably has a good career in front of her, because she got seen. I'm not saying there aren't other 7-year-olds that are probably at least as good as her, but the thing is, she just got seen. And once you get seen in this sort of scene. Stupid pun. Well, if you have a good chance to actually make it big, she should actually probably get into streaming, and she could make some good money. Probably have a college fund ready before she's even done with elementary school, and that's sort of ridiculous, but good for her. Only thing I would be slightly afraid of if she actually went into streaming was the fact that she could probably get a bit full of herself, because kids these age, they just aren't fully developed, especially when it comes to the mental side of things. But yeah, she is obviously very clever, and the fact that she is capable of beating other players shows that her empathy skills are highly evolved for her age. So I'm really predicting a good career for her. By the way, if anybody's interested, she was playing a Teamer energy deck. I have no idea. I'm not that big into Magic the Gathering, but maybe somebody who watches this will actually know what the heck does that mean. Okay, let's move on to the big scandal for the past few weeks. We're just going to go back to it. There's no way to avoid it. Loot boxes. So right now, loot boxes are under investigations in several countries. It started with Belgian Gambling Commission confirming that they were investigating Star Wars Battlefront's 2 loot boxes. And right now, it seems that authorities in the Netherlands are also investigating that maybe loot boxes could be considered gambling. And yeah, it's because they are. Whether you like it or not, they are. And no matter which way you want to spin it, they will always be gambling. And it will be very hard for gaming studios just not to say they are gambling. And as long as there is gambling included in games, there is a good chance they will have to be considered only for adults. Or they will have to have a special license. I'm personally expecting that the countries will probably say, okay, these things, we won't probably classify them. In Europe, it's mostly 18, so when you're older than 18. My personal guess is like, you will have to prove that you're 15 years or older, because that's the general age in Europe. There might be a few countries where it's 14, a few countries where it's 16, but I will guess it's going to be around that age. It's the age when in Europe you get your ID. It's usually from 14 to 16. For example, here in Czech Republic, it's 15. And once you got that, even though you're not fully classified as an adult, you're no longer classified as a kid. You're somewhere in between, and that means you can do stuff that is somewhere in between. For example, you're allowed to have sex, but you are not allowed to drink alcohol or smoke cigarettes. Same way, you're not allowed to gamble actually until you're 18, but you can gamble straight away on loot boxes right now. There are a few other gaming authorities around, especially Europe, that are looking at loot boxes and similar systems in computer games. So for example, the United Kingdom government is keeping a close eye on this after one of the members of the parliament actually discussed the issue. The French, and there are several others who are actually just, like piquing interest. Maybe this could be something we should maybe look at. And I tend to agree, even though I don't consider it as much of a gambling problem as, let's say, slot machines would be. Though, on the other hand, if we take a look at, for example, how it looks at the new Need for Speed, well, those are essentially just slot machines. And there needs to be sort of a fix for that. And hopefully it will mean that we will get back to the system where you just pick what you wanted to buy, and it had a perfectly... It was just, here's the cost. Maybe the closest thing I think we could get to gambling at this point is just each day there's a special item and you won't know what it will be. It will be like an item on a sale and its price will be reduced. But having loot boxes, especially the ones with flashy effects and, they just explode and it looks amazing. Just the typical look, I would say, would be probably Hearthstone card packs. There really needs to be a look at them. And yeah, it's just a big problem for the future of developers, publishers, and everybody who wants to have loot boxes in their games. Because if they get actually classified as gambling, these games will have a tough time being sold to underage people. For example, just like take a look at Steam. Even though, yeah, I know underage people will still be able to get on. They will just say, "Oh, I'm 20" on Steam. But as I know, the European Union, they could just force Steam to want an ID. You know, a photo of an ID before they allow you to purchase these sort of games. And yes, that would add a ton of work to Valve. On the other hand, it's probably a good thing to have children not have access to gambling tools, because you can just lose a shit ton of money in these sort of things. So anybody remember the South Park episode? This is essentially where we're heading. If you keep loot boxes in, they just trigger the same exact dopamine receptors as typical slot machines and any other gambling tool does. And it's super easy to get addicted to them. And it's that much more easier when you're a kid or even a teenager, though teenagers will probably be capable of handling this. Children under the age of 15 will have a very hard time to get a grasp on this in a correct way. There will be some, well, to be honest, the vast majority will be capable of handling this. The problem is that there will be about 10% of children who won't, and they will spend a fortune. And sadly, the only way to avoid it is to have some sort of precautions at place, the same way you don't have kids walking into casinos, because they just cannot handle it. And let's end on a similar note. Let's end as well as is the norm this past week or two. Let's end with EA. This time we are talking about Plants vs. Zombies and their creator, which his name is George Fan, and it seems that he claims he was fired because he didn't want to see microtransactions in Plants vs. Zombies 2. Yes, Plants vs. Zombies was a great, successful game, eventually picked up by EA. And even Plants vs. Zombies 2, as far as I heard, is a decent game. The problem is it is very heavily just riddled with microtransactions. And there is no secret that Fan was fired from EA and PopCap because of probably the situation. There was some talk about this even before, but now he actually talked about this. Oh, it wasn't him. It was Edmund McMillan, which is the creator of Super Meat Boy. He shared Fan's story on an episode of Beer Taffy's podcast, where he said, well, this is what I know. I think they fired him because of this. And obviously, we cannot know if this is 100% true, though with everything that's been surrounding EA in the past few days, I wouldn't be surprised the least. The problem is it might just be Edmund McMillan trying to get a bit more traction for himself to just gain that publicity. On the other hand, what does he have to gain if it is proven that he lied? Nothing. And it would just strike a huge backlash, possibly even a lawsuit against him. And I don't think that is something he would actually want to. So my personal guess is that he actually probably just repeated what he heard from Fan. The only question here is if this could have some sort of backlash for Fan for saying that to his friend, because there is a good chance that Fan was like not allowed to talk about why he did this. Though EA probably thought, yeah, just don't talk about this publicly. He just told his Fan, and he just told his friend, and his friend shared the story. And there's a good chance he shouldn't have done this. And I'm really hoping that this doesn't come back to Fan's head. If it does, I'm hoping to see some sort of Kickstarter to help him pay for the expenses, for at least the expenses for the lawsuit, because yeah, he's probably gonna need it if that is the case. And I'm really hoping it isn't the case, but with what we know about EA, There's a good chance it is. And that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Daily News. If you did, be sure to give us that thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to leave some comments telling us about your opinion. If you're watching this on Steam, be sure to upload a post. Be sure to follow our blog. Again, be sure to leave a comment. We are really interested in what you want to say. We will respond to every single comment that is meaningful. It's just not total bullshit. And with that being said, I'm going to bring this to an end. So, see you guys later with more gaming content.